What's going on, guys? Sitting here, getting ready, starting to pack the car. Hopefully get out of here by the end of the week. I just wanted to record something while I'm sitting here because I've been going back and forth about the golf ball rollback. It doesn't really affect me much. I'm a low launch, low spin player. And when I'm good, I pretty much play a flyer around the golf course. I don't have to worry about balls ripping back off the front of the green. I don't have to worry about balls carrying further than I expect. I just hit it as high and as long and as straight as I can and then react to what happens. I try to play a straight ball, right? I have a little baby fade that falls to the right when I'm playing well. When I'm playing bad, I end up blocking most stuff because my coach in college told me you can't play off Bermuda grass being steep. So my entire career, I've tried to shallow out. Now I'm kind of kicking myself, right? I wish I could play steep. Listen, Bermuda only bothers the club if you don't hit ball first. You see all these guys on the announcers talking with JT about chipping and pitching around the greens, right? Toe down on Bermuda, shut the face a little bit, toe down. You expect the face to open a touch when it hits the ground. So that's going to put the ball back on line, but nothing matters as long as you hit ball first. Most of the time around the greens, it's tough to hit ball first. You know, the rough's going to get your club. The Bermuda's a little wiry, things like that. If you're playing on very soft bent, that's probably the most difficult condition. How many of you chili dip and stick the club in the ground, right? I see so many guys telling me, oh, I need less bounce. Do you need less bounce or do you need to learn how to hit the wedge? When I'm using high bounce, I love it, right? I don't have to worry about digging. That's one shot that doesn't have to factor into the equation, especially when I'm around the greens and I'm hitting little touchy-feely shots, right? I want to know that club's going to bounce. It's not going to dig because I'm going to hit ball first anyway, so I don't have to worry about blading it. Now, if you're a guy that tends to come out of the shot and hit behind it and blade, then yeah, we're going to put you in a little less bounce. But I think a lesson would probably help for most people. Put the ball back in your stance, put the weight on your front foot, and get ball first. Once you get to that point where we're making solid contact and ball first overall all the time, then yeah, we can talk about different variations with the bounce and different ball positions and different shots, going high, going low. You know, a lot of times the golf course dictates what you're doing. I know I've bashed Caddyshack too, but I can't talk about my game without talking about my home club. You know, I knew the ball wasn't going to roll out. If it did, it was a bad break because it skipped. It landed on a wet spot or a random hard spot and took off. Like I said, the second hole at Caddyshack 2, the green used to go all the way up onto the hill and balls would funnel down, and that was kind of your miss, you know. You'd get down there and you'd want to avoid that bunker on the left, so you'd hit it up on the hill and you let it funnel down. 11 was another one that used to be fairway out there on the right and it would funnel in. But the reason why I bring up 2, the last time I played there, I was probably middle of the green high. It stayed up in the rough where it shouldn't have. The pin was back left, and I hit a little pitch with my 56. You know, actually, no, I think I hit it with the 60. I had the ball back in my stance. I was coming out of the first cut of rough, so I knew it would come up a little bit, but I didn't want to go high. I was trying to kind of stay low, if anything, and I hit a pitch, which I thought was going to be perfect. It landed kind of just over the hump, right on the downslope, and it left the ball mark and just stopped. I was pissed, but I should have known better. That's the golf course you're playing. Go high and fly it to the hole and just let it stop. Again, that's not golf, but that's the stuff that you're going to see change as the golf ball gets softer and it spins a little more. My biggest challenge when I switched to the Pro V1 was around the greens. Hitting little pitches with that 60 degree, I used to be really good at that one hop and stop. And then once I switched from Torbalata to Pro V, it didn't have that check anymore. So I had to learn to play shots that kind of run out a little bit or play them a little further forward in the stance and get a little more air under them. It dictates what you play. And it dictates what wedges you have in the bag, right? 2 years ago when they played Augusta, it was soft because they were playing it in November. Or was that 3 years ago now? Whatever the COVID year was, right? You saw all these guys showing up to Augusta with these low bounce wedges rather. And then all of a sudden you saw them all putting the K grind in the bag or something, even if it wasn't high bounce, something that had some mass that would interact with the turf if they stuck it in the ground. It's tough around the greens when it's wet. You know, how many guys struggle after a rainstorm? You know, if you get on a hole where it's a low spot and you put it in there close to the green and now you're on this really, really tight lie that has nothing under it. You have to be perfect. Golfers aren't. We struggle. Know your struggles and know what fits you. I know I'm a low spin guy and I'm never going to get a ball to rip back on the greens, but I still play a high spinning ball. It still, in essence, is me playing fly or lie around the golf course. I know it's going to fly a certain distance and stop. You know, I grew up at reservation. The golf course around the wall, I don't even know what hole it is. That place is so all over the place now. I think it's 6. But I grew up playing against guys that were about 3 and 4 years older than me. So they all hit it longer than I did. That hole plays straight downhill on the second shot. Straight downwind, rather, on the second shot. If I try to hit something that flies pin high, I have no chance. I'm going to either end up on the back by the tee or up in the marsh. I had to learn, if I'm 150 yards out, I only want to hit a 120-yard shot. You hit a little low trapper in there with no spin that lands 20-yard shot, takes 2 hops and kind of trickles up. How many of you guys can relate to that, right? How many older guys that don't have as much distance anymore can relate to hitting that hybrid that lands short and hops up? Well, if the conditions at the golf course you're playing get soft, you get screwed even more. So that's what's going to happen when you see the golf ball change and the distances change. You're going to see guys struggling with getting balls to the green, but you may see some benefit from a little bit more spin and stopping it on the green. The new equipment is all designed not to spin, right? Iron heads, iron shafts, golf balls, everything is designed to go straight and fly straight. So things are going to change. Now, what the USGA isn't looking at is the residual costs that golfers are going to see. If you're a guy playing a driver that spins 2,400 RPM and you just spent $1,000 on that driver, well, guess what? It's now going to spin 3,000 and you're going to have to rethink it. Those are the things that I don't think USGA thought of when doing this. We're in the middle of a golf boom right now. Why would you ever do anything to dissuade the consumer from playing golf? The guys that just started, that are shooting 100 and have that goal to break 100 and it's getting exhausting, are now looking at the golf ball rollback and saying, oh, it's going to get harder. That's what the USGA is missing. They're missing the advertising side of this. They think the companies and the golf ball companies are all more worried about their bottom line, which they are, but they're also worried about their consumer. Right? Titleist is going around bragging, saying, oh, we're up 4% across the board. But what they don't tell you is they raised prices 10%. So they're really down 6%. Golf is already slowing down a little bit. The COVID boom is kind of winding down. Yep, we got the new golfers that are staying on board. We also got the new golfers that are back working in the office and know that they're not going to get better playing 2 days a week. So they're giving up. They're thinking, where can I spend my money? Where do I spend my money elsewhere? And there's so many options. That's what they're doing. Golf clubs and country clubs trying to advertise food and beverage and dining and musicians and this, that, and the other thing, and don't talk about their golf course at all. They're not targeting the golfer. They're targeting the COVID golfer who will be there for a year and then say, you know what? I just didn't get my money's worth. Because let's be real. If you play 10 or 20 or even 50 rounds a year at a private club, cost for cost, dollar for dollar, you're never going to get your money's worth. You're paying for access. You're paying for better conditions and a better product. If they're not giving you that, what are you paying for? Recently, I left my private club. Why? Because the product was no longer equal to the value of what I was spending. Not dollar for dollar, round for round. I never got that. 90% of my rounds were played with guests. I was always paying extra. Always spending money at the bar. Always eating. But at the end of the day, my $10,000 to $15,000 a year that I was spending, I could spend half that at a public golf course in better conditions, offering a better golf product. So that's what I chose. I chose to give up the access and the fun of being a member at a private club because it just wasn't worth the value to me anymore. The access of playing 6 holes late at night kind of went away when me and the girlfriend broke up. In the short game area, I just don't care enough anymore to grind. Everybody's different. Food and beverage doesn't matter to me. I know if I'm there with my boys and we have guests and we're playing and we're partying, we're going to spend money. Unfortunately, they didn't know enough to offer a good enough golf product to keep me there. If you're a golf company and you're trying to advertise to golfers, you better sound like you know what you're talking about. If you're a golf ball company and you have different versions of your golf ball, I don't want to have to go do research. I'm not going to go to your website and say which ball fits me. I'm going to go to the company that says, hey, play the X. Play the regular Pro V1. If you're really a high spin guy, try the AVX. If you want distance, try the Velocity. There's different things for different companies to focus on. And when you're advertising, make sure you focus on what is important to the golfer. Guys, I know sales and I know golf. I could have had so many people leaving my bay with expensive stuff that they didn't need or they weren't going to benefit from, right? I shake my head every time I'm down at South Beach and I see somebody driving around a Bugatti. Why spend all that money for all that power that you can't use? That's how shafts work, right? If you're a golfer and you're playing an upcharge exotic shaft that costs you a couple $100, you better hope it's giving you some benefit, right? Look at it side by side between stock and upcharge. If upcharge 1 doesn't blow stock away, the 1 or 2 yards that you're gaining per drive, that's only on the best one. On the one you miss, it's probably about the same. Some of them, it's even worse. If the shaft is too stiff for you, the misses are going to be exaggerated. If the shaft's too light and too soft for you, same thing. Everybody used to poke their head around and look and see what I was playing. What does it matter what I'm playing? Look at my golf swing. I'm 4 degrees flat. I stand too far away from it, and I tilt back and hang back and swing up at it. What does my setup help most people? It doesn't. Now, putters and wedges and shafts and stuff like that, you may want to see what everybody's using, but it doesn't help you. Go to a fitting with an open mind. You know how many guys would come to me and say, yeah, I want to get fit for the new TaylorMade driver. Why? Because you saw a commercial for it that told you it was the best? Get fit for any driver. Keep an open mind when you go in there. See what works for you. What golf ball you use. The fitter probably tell you, you're a low spin guy. You need to play the X Pro V1X or the TaylorMade TP5. I don't even know which version to play with Callaway. That just shows you my point of know what you're marketing. Sell what you need to sell. I have no clue what products I should play with Callaway. None. They have so many variations of every head, every shaft, every golf ball. I have no clue. They've kind of become the box store company. They own Top Golf. You see them advertising with Dick's. They're all over the place. And a lot of the stuff that they offer to their tour players that is high quality, they don't offer to the consumer. They started offering the triple diamond heads, but then they have a triple diamond S that's not available to the consumer. That's what Rory's talking about when he's saying, you think you play the same stuff we do? Of course not. It doesn't make sense for companies to sell a lot of the products that the tour player plays because the 1% of the population that fits into them maybe half of that will purchase. So now you're talking about a 0.5%. Does it make sense to roll out a whole marketing campaign for the Triple Diamond S when you have a 0.5% of the golf community that fits it? No. They're not stupid. They'd rather spend their money on Travis Matthew and Top Golf, and the money that's going to come in from the average or below average or non-golfer. That's who they're targeting. That's the ads that they're selling. Top Golf's not golf. And the fact that Callaway got on board with Top Golf tells you they're a marketing machine, not a golf company anymore. Yes, their products are good, and they're a golf company, but when I see their ads, I think Top Golf and Travis Matthew, and I think corny. TaylorMade kind of the same thing. They're a machine. They turned me off back in 2000, late 90s, early 2000s when they were offering a new driver every 3 months, a different variation of it. They were trying to target golfers that were just spending money blindly. And they made a killing because there's guys out there that are assured that they can buy a game. If your golf club is performing well, why would you ever buy a new one? Companies hated putting me on staff. Why? Because I don't like to change. I wear clubs out. I use them until you can't use them anymore, unless you offer me something better. I didn't have time to play around with the TSR, so I'm still playing the TSI 3. I love it. Why would I change? Until I have the time to put in the work to make a change, why would I do it? So many golfers go take lessons and expect it to be better overnight. You know how hard it is to make a change to your golf swing? Moving your launch angle or attack angle or face to path, to do it consistently 1 or 2 degrees is so hard. Sounds like nothing. It's a 1 or 2 degree change. What do you mean I can't make that change? You can, but as soon as you go to the golf course before going to the range to work on it, you're right back in your old habits. How many guys would come to my bay and say, I want a lesson this morning. I got a big tournament this weekend. All right, well, we'll make the changes. But do you have time to go to the bay and implement those changes? Or are you going to be stuck in between, which is even worse? Because now you're standing over the golf ball saying the worst swing thought in golf. Oh, fuck. If you're over the golf ball saying, oh, fuck, where is this going? You have zero chance at success. Why do you think my short game is as good as it is? Because when I was a kid, I had a strong grip. I played a giant hook and I hit it sideways. Driver was the most crooked club in my bag. I couldn't get it airborne, and I spent the day hitting 1-iron, 7-iron in the greens. Started missing greens because I was playing a golf course that the greens are about the size of the roof of this car. You miss greens, you get up and down, or you lose. It's that simple. So I learned how to get up and down. When I had time to go work on my game and start to hit the ball a little better, I got better at ball striking. But when I'm struggling, you don't see me shoot 85 or 84, right? It's usually 74, 75, maybe 76 or 7, but that's it. You know, it's funny. The one year that I played the club championship, I had just gone through a breakup, and the girl that I broke up with was working that day. It was about 2 over through 14 holes. She came over on 15. The guy that I was playing with asked me about it when she drove away. I bogeyed 15, 16, doubled 17, bogeyed 18, shoot 79. Now, we don't need to get personal and talk about what was going through my head and stuff like that, but it proves the point that if you're not thinking about what you're doing, you're going to struggle. If you're standing over the golf ball thinking about anything but what you're trying to do, it's going to affect you. Now, add in the fact that I was on and off prednisone at the time and I was all over the place, just started a new antidepressant, I was struggling. I had stuff that was going on in my head that you have no chance of playing good golf. I found my way through a couple matches, you know, but in the semifinals I was 3 up, and then sure enough, she came over the hill smiling, bogey, 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 and before I knew it, I was 2 down, and now I'm grinding. Outside influences affect you more than anything you would think. And it's even worse when I'm on drugs. Right now, it's bad. The last couple times I was playing, I have rabbit ears. I hear everything. When I'm on prednisone, all of my senses are on high alert. I can hear things from 3 holes over. When I'm good and I'm playing a lot, I'm good enough to be under control and stand away from it. When I'm bad, I stand over the shot saying, John, step away, John, step away, and then I still pull the trigger. Think the success rate's going to be high on that shot? No. So again, when you're buying stuff and you're purchasing equipment and you're dealing with advertising, make sure you're not falling for the sell. Listen, I have Circle T putters. I play golf balls with my initials on them, and everything has to be perfect. My yardage book is not cheap, right? I'll spend money on stuff if it works, but I make sure it works before I spend money on it. You're never going to see me get fit indoors into a net and say, oh, we're going to buy this driver. No. I may hit some shots on a monitor and see how I like it and this, that, and the other thing. But until I see that thing fly, until I see it in the window that I want to see it in, I don't know if it's a driver that fits me or if it's just something that I'm swinging well that day. Everything happens out on the golf course. And unfortunately, what I'm kind of seeing in the golf industry is advertising leading away from golf, and golfers doing the research, and golfers doing the touchy-feely things. Yeah, I was sitting at 99 in Fairhaven, about a block away from the Titleist Worldwide headquarters, with a vice president of the golf ball company, having a couple beers. And in the conversation, it came up and said, I order all my clubs from you guys with the grip off. Why? You guys put a little sticker, inspected by, right under my left hand, and it falls right where it drives me nuts. You're full of shit. You can't tell that. Okay, let's go outside. You have your sticks in the bag. I'll pay for the new grip. Let's go. We grab a steak knife from the bar. We go outside. I hold the grip and I say, it's right here in these 3 knuckles where it's going. That's the thing. And I literally put up, the sticker was this big. We cut the grip off. Sure enough, exactly where I called it. He was shocked, but he didn't realize it's because I don't feel a lot of things. My feet, a lot of the times I can't feel it. My knees are in so much pain that from the knee down, I don't really feel a lot of things, because a lot of times I'm so medicated and drugged up that my fingertips and my hearing and stuff like that goes on high alert, and I feel everything and hear everything. And it sucks. But I'm self-aware enough to know that when I'm playing competitive round, take your time. Look around, make sure nothing's going to happen that's going to bother you, or that you're going to hear, or that rabbit ears are going to happen, and then hit the shot. When I'm not playing well, I just kind of go about my merry day and I shoot 75 to 76, and I'm pissed off because I didn't pay attention to what I was doing, and it just kind of became another round of golf. And it's kind of why I got to the point where I was over golf. Too many times I just struggled, and it was my fault, and I knew it was my fault, but I just didn't care enough to grind anymore. And that's when I knew it was kind of time to take a step back. I'm one of those people, I shoot from the hip, and I like to tell it like it is, and if you don't like it, take a number and get in line. You shoot a BB at me, I'm going to shoot a bazooka back at you, and I don't care. People come in and out of my life, and I'm fine with that. I don't create strong bonds or value relationships. When I do, I'm a pretty good guy to be around. I spoil my friends, and I have a lot of access to a lot of things. But when I start to feel unappreciated, that's when I stop playing golf. It got to a point at the end where I was taking all my friends to all these fancy places and getting them all this new gear and all that shit, and it felt like the only time I heard from anybody was, hey, where are we playing this week? Hey, can you fit me in? I need a fitting. I don't want to pay $150, but can you fit me in? Sure, come on, I got you. Sell it to you at cost. If you decided to buy through me, not your golf pro, I would give that advice first. Go to your golf pro. Give him the opportunity at the sale first. If he doesn't sell it to you at a decent price or at the map pricing, come on back. Yeah, I'll probably give it to you at cost, or a little overcost because you're my boy and it doesn't really affect my bottom line. But just remember, next time when I lose my shit because I'm feeling unappreciated, how much I've done for you. We're not going to get into details, but let's just say my phone's been ringing from a lot of people from my past. I have no time for you. You left me when I was at my worst. Don't try to come back now that I'm coming back to being at my best. I'm happier than I've ever been. No, I don't have much money right now. We'll sell some putters. We'll get by. We'll get back to work. But I don't have any stress in my life either. I'm done trying to make everybody around me happy because it never works. Eventually, you're going to say some dumb shit and I'm going to pop back and you're not going to like it. It's that simple. Look at your advertisers the way you look at me. If they say something that makes you shake your head, move on to the next. Every group has that one guy that can't break 100, but has the latest and greatest of everything. Is he got swag or is he just a hype beast trying to look the part? Look at Jordan Brand, for example. They're cool everywhere but the golf course now. Everybody has them. Who wants to look like everybody else? Not me. I'm good. Alone in my car in South Florida is where I can't wait to be. If you're in town and you say, hey, we're at this bar, I might meet you for a drink. But it's not my style to reach out and say, hey, come to Miami, let's go. Don't really care. I'd rather go out by myself. I can come and go as I please. I can talk to whoever I want or don't want. And I can drink as much as I don't want or don't want as well. I don't have to answer to anybody right now. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm doing me. And it's awesome. Stay tuned. Let's go.